Fantasy 731 had a super chat saying that Herbert better than Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I don't think that's any question.
Man, it was better than that. Like by the time that the first record went off, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think by number three. But let me watch myself because people get all emotional when we start critiquing that album. It's funny, man. It's a couple of comments that I saw, and I usually don't do this, but I want people who are watching this live to see what we deal with in the comment section after the show's been aired. These are some of the things that people are saying about our critiques. The gentleman said, saying Rich Spirit is about turning rappers into songs, which I was clearly joking, said shows that y'all didn't even properly listen to the album. This is anti-journalism concerning Kendrick. Y'all just slander for the clout. That's lame to me. At least explain why the album is bad to you. But you actually have to engage with it first. I say to that, if we have to do all that exploration about why we think the album is bad to us, it's just not good. Especially when we have given this man all kind of credit for every other effort he's made. Even the untitled, unmastered. I liked it. But if we
It was
have to
pretty
sit
dope.
here 6 albums in and say, well, let me go in and find out why I don't like this album, it's just not good, my nigga. It's not. I mean,
Let,
really. I mean,
let,
really. Is that why do we do that with certain people? Like people just want to badger in our heads that we're supposed to like 444. We're supposed to like this. Why? Because of who made it? We like other efforts from these people. It's not like we're just sitting here, slandering anything that Kendrick makes. People ain't rocking with this. Tell me a record, and I say this because Kendrick's a mainstream artist. Tell me a record that he has on this album that is dominating out there in the mainstream space, i.e., radio, or let's just say, after hour spot clubs, whatever. Where is this album musically dominating, especially to get 8 Grammy nominations?
no, I don't think you understand, Mike. I've been outside all week. I was just in the city last night, late to the early. I ain't hear Kendrick one time nowhere. We was
Yeah.
at the Best Man movie premiere. It's nothing but elite blacks in the room. Ain't that the perfect place to play some Kendrick?
I mean, if
You
he
think
has if he has 8 Grammy nominations, and you would think that this album is what people say it is, yes. And again, I ain't saying everything got to be club records, everything ain't got to be feel good records or whatever, but how are we quantifying all of this psychoanalysis and praise for this album? Yeah, you want to make an album that is personal and doesn't have to connect outside and all that, fine. But it shouldn't get 8 Grammy nominations. Not in this genre. It shouldn't. You can't quantify it.
what I'm trying to tell you is like, listen to this. This is what I'm saying. I wasn't in a club last night. Now I did go to a spot after the premiere. I was at a mini series premiere, Mike. It's not like it was like club crowd or atmosphere.
Right,
That's what I'm
right,
saying.
right.
Like there were couches and nice chairs and everything's velvet like laid out. This is like, like suited booted type of event. And that, what I'm saying is like, ain't that the crowd that you should be able to play some of this Mr. Morale and Big Stepper stuff? Like conceptually speaking, you want to know why I didn't hear it? Because musically it's just not good.
And let me
Let
flip
it
that on
go,
its ear,
please.
right? Let's flip that on its ear. I think that he made another album that you could possibly say similar things about. But in that setting, I could hear from To Pimp a Butterfly, I could hear These Walls in that setting. I
Yep.
could hear, King
All
Kunta
right.
possibly in that setting. All right, of course. Maybe even I. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it would have gotten played in that setting if this was 2015. The reason you didn't
Mm-hmm.
hear any of his music is because that shit is not hitting like that.
Hey, do you remember when the game was still on TV? That was when
Hmm.
Good Kid, Mad City came out. They had an episode. You know what was playing when the episode came on? Money Trees.
Yeah, it's a
Everybody
dope
on the
record.
episode was saying your bish.
Yeah. Here's another
Yeah.
comment. Somebody else says, y'all get excited to slander Kendrick. Just be honest. Y'all want to slander him. Y'all can diss the album if you admit he's way better than his competition, though. Huh?
Did they just try to bribe us? Did they just try to pimp us? I felt like somebody just tried to pimp me with that comment. It's like, you see, if you say this, then I'm gonna get you
Again,
that. But I really ain't about to
but
get
I'll
you.
flip that too. The reason why we are critiquing it to that level because we know where he stands amongst his competition, right?
No, I don't know
And
because it was because no.
not
This is
to
what I'm.
interrupt you, and on top of that, he said he's smoking on our top five. That's what he said.
Okay, so this. It's not. It's like it's not 2015, 2016. People understand that, right? Like it's 2022 and it's almost 2023. Um, when we talk about like his placement, it's like, well, right now, do you think that he's a better MC than J. Cole?
I
'Cause I
mean,
don't. I don't. Right now,
right
if I
now,
needed a
currently,
rap
no,
song,
I
right
couldn't.
now, if
No.
I needed a dope rap song or a dope rap verse, Mike, who gonna give it to you,
Yeah,
Cole or
yeah.
Kendrick right now?
No, I'm going to call for that, and there's no
All
question
right,
at
then that
this
would make
point.
him better right now. Then,
He is better right now.
because that's what you do with rap. You make rap music and songs that other people listen to and want to listen to. And at the level that they operate, Cole's operating at that level higher and making the better songs. And quite frankly, like the boss level's looking good. The boss level looking good. Look at his crop.
And this is the thing too, and I like to try to put things into, I guess, a '90s perspective because I grew up in the '90s or whatnot, and grew up on hip hop in the '90s. Let's just say, hypothetically, Damn, what was that? 2017, 5 years ago. Damn was 1994. This guy's coming back around in 1999 and coming with this. I mean, put that in context, man. 36 Chambers with the super chat. Let me get to some of these super
Very
chats. He said,
problematic.
Herbert was great and maybe a top 10 somewhere, but in a year with KD3, cheat codes, SSS, No Fear of Time, The Forever Story, and drill music in Zion, it's facing tough competition. Dope project, and I loved it though. 2022 is a good year for hip hop. I agree 100%. We're going to get into that. Our man with the super chat says, peace. Maybe Kendrick should have taken 6 years to make an album instead. If he did that, he would have received a tight album. He would have released a tight album like my man Ab Soul. No, for real. No, for real. Kendall Outlaw with the super chat says Lauryn Hill should not get credit for being a lyricist on the score since she was in a group, just like Andre 3000 and Outkast.
No, she has solo songs.
Not
Solo
on the
rap
score.
songs.
Not on the score. But I feel where he's coming from.
No, I don't.
All right, this is what I will say. And Andre is incredible. I mean, he was my favorite rapper growing up. I think what Lauren added to the Fugees, slightly greater than what Andre added to Outkast, because I think that Andre and Big Boy's contributions are actually very equal. And if we look into the hooks and we look into, just
The foundation.
the foundation of the songs, you could make an argument that Big Boy's contribution to the Outkast brand from a foundational standpoint could be slightly greater. You take Lauryn Hill out of the Fugees, and man, I don't know what that group looks like. You take Andre out of Outkast, you got West Savannah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. So I don't think that's the same exact thing personally. And
It's
not to
not.
mention, she's handling hooks because she's a vocalist too. So it's a little different. I understand where they're coming from with that, but it's slightly different. I think it's a better comparison to say I'm taking CeeLo out of Goody Mob. That's a whole different group now.
It is, but it's still a dope group.
It is a dope group because you got 3 dope MCs. I don't know what the Fugees sound like without Lauren. I don't want to say the Fugees. Let's just say specifically the score. What does the score sound like without Lauren? Well, no hook on Fuji Live. No Ready or Not. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different. It's not the same thing.
Well, if
And
If you
no
were to
killing me
take
softly. I think that's a big point to make too.
if you were to take Lauren out of the Fugees, and I say this respectfully, would those two gentlemen have a record deal?
I think Clef would as a solo artist, and I say this
As a producer, I
respectfully,
think he would have to
yeah,
Kanye his way into the game.
because at the end of the day, in my opinion, Clef's a genius, and Clef is
I don't think that.
he is a genius. He's a very integral part of what the Fugees became from a arrangement level and probably from a vision level. I mean, look at what he did with the Carnival.
Genius.
Yeah, Clef's a genius, and
Genius?
I think his genius got overshadowed by Lauren's genius. But I'll say this: the
No,
group
she's a
that
genius.
was, he is from a
No.
musical stand. How many musicians does hip hop have like that? Where you're an all around musician,
Being
you're
a
an all
musician
around
doesn't make you a
producer, you're an
genius,
arranger,
Mike.
you're a writer, you're an MC, you're a vocalist. He does a lot of things, and he did a lot of things before that was even a thing in hip hop. You listen to the Carnival. The Carnival was way ahead of the curve. Nobody was making an album like that.
Hold on. Okay, so making one album like that doesn't make you a genius. Like just
He
because you
has a
can play multiple
catalog too.
instruments. Hold on, Mike. Just because you play multiple instruments doesn't make you a musical genius per se. Because here's the thing: in order to be a musical genius, you have to have genius work, and it's like, well, he has two, and like, okay, and it's like I don't know if that's like genius level. A lot of people have like two classic albums that they've produced, Mike, that aren't considered to be musical geniuses.
Clef has a catalog, man. I think you're understating Clef's impact. I think that
What
obviously
is
the
his
Fugees,
impact? That's what I'm saying. You're calling him a musical genius.
Clef's
Like,
impact
no.
is huge.
In what way? Where do you see his footprints exactly?
His footprints is all over the game. What are you talking about? Like that whole bringing the Caribbean to hip hop in the way that he was doing it, that whole Bob Marley thing coming into hip hop, that's him. Akon and those guys came up under him. Clef's footprints are all over the game. I will say that. Mo Better
Totally
Co with the
disagree.
super
That is
chat.
ridiculous.
So we're gonna give Lauren all of those props, which I think are well
No, he's a
deserved.
wonderful. No,
Which
Mike,
are
I think he's
well
a.
deserved, but Clef gets none. I look
I
at
think
Clef like
I didn't say that.
I
That's
look at
not what I
Clef
said,
as a
Mike. You're
guy.
misquoting me.
No,
You're
my bad.
misquoting me though. I'm
Look.
just saying he's not a genius.
Well, see, I'm a
I
person
didn't say
that
he
thinks.
wasn't great. I'm saying he's not a genius.
I think that Will I Am's a genius too. So, I do.
When I think musical genius, just being quite frank with you, well, I think Prince. I think Stevie Wonder.
Hmm.
I think Marvin Gaye. I think Bob Marley. I think Michael Jackson. I do not think of Wyclef in those regards. I do
I
think
think
of
there's
Lauryn Hill
obviously
in that regard.
levels to
I do
genius.
think of Lauryn Hill in that regard because, man, it's very, very real and evident. It's evident. It's all over the place.
But
It's like one of those things, Mike. It's like when you see it, it's like you just know it. It's like, oh no, right there. That's how genius works. It don't work like, oh, he did this and he's no, like none of that. Genius? Wow.
I think that Clef was a part of something very special, and I don't think it would have come together in the way that it did if not for him. I look at him like I look at Puff. I think Puff's a genius too. I
You
mean,
look at him the way you look at Puff.
I do.
Okay.
I mean, I got Puff over him, but I'm just saying, as far as being able to see something and make something out of it that people didn't see before and people haven't envisioned before, maybe I should say a visionary then. Maybe that would be more palatable for you. But I think Clef's great.
No, he's great. And I'm not giving Lauren all of the credit. He's a wonderful songwriter. I think the Carnival's a classic.
Yeah, it is. It's
Actually, there are a lot of elements to it to me that are more enjoyable than the score because Lauren is just scene stealing everything on the score. That's what I'm saying, Mike. So when you're calling him a genius, it's like understand, like he's on the score, and it's almost an afterthought because that's the genius, not him. That's what I'm saying. It's like, well, if he was genius, like you're saying, then why when those two are in the room, she's like, and it shows, and it's like not as much said about him. That's what. Mike, Lost Ones. It's funny how money changes situation.
Oh, here we go with the Lost Ones talking.
Miscommunication lead to complication.
And she's a better rapper and a
My
better singer than him.
emancipation don't fit your equation. I was on the humble. You on every station. Like, that's what I'm saying. She like, oh, you didn't want to play your role. You didn't like the fact that people was like giving me like props and you wasn't getting it. Well, you wasn't getting it because she's just clearly like supreme. That's what I keep trying to tell you.
We're not gonna do that. Like, that's revisionist history, Coop. Because '97, let's keep it real. Clef was that dude. Clef was everywhere. Clef was working with everyone from Michael Jackson to that's what she means. You was on every station. Clef was everywhere in '97. Clef was doing remixes from everywhere, from Michael Jackson to Destiny's Child to Cam. He had the Carnival out. They put cannabis on his plate. He was doing his thing. Let's not act like he wasn't doing anything.
Hold on. Cannabis?
Yeah.
How did that sound?
It didn't come out great. But cannabis was a hot commodity.
It's funny. No. It's funny when you don't have a genius around how the stuff isn't hitting that same level.
It just wasn't a good fit.
Who got the best two verses?
Look, it wasn't a good fit. At the end of the day, Rakim and Dr. Dre couldn't make anything. So, sometimes things don't work out. No, but that's not a knock on Clef's genius because he wasn't able to make cannabis work. I don't think many people would have been able to make cannabis work.
No, and that's understandable. But all I'm trying to... Who got the two best verses on the Carnival mic?
It's Lauren. She's incredible. Okay, she's a better rapper than him.
So when we having this genius
but I'm just saying, can she play instruments?
Not either one of the guys.
Can she pick up a guitar and play?
Not well.
Yeah, exactly. He can do all those things. Mo Better Co with the super chat says a report on Twitter had even came out and said that people aren't really feeling the Kendrick album. They are. It is what it is. It's not
good.
Listen, it's okay. But see, this is what I want to say to the Kendrick fans. It's okay, and it's not slander, man. Sometimes your guy just doesn't make the best album of the year. This is probably the first time he's come out where he hasn't made a top 3 album of the year. It happens. It's okay. But you know what?
What I'm saying.
I think what burns people more is I predicted this shit. And they're mad. They're mad because I called it.
There's literally a timeline.
And so it comes across like we're hating on it because we called it this way.
No, we didn't call it this way. When this started, I told you that you were tripping and that he was coming. And then time started ticking. And then I started asking you, I was like, hey, Mike, remember when you said that you didn't think he had anything? It's like, I think you might be right. And then we spent like damn near a year talking about it and got nothing. And then we got this and it was like, this is what we got? And this is what I keep trying to tell people. It's going to be okay. It's happened to other great rappers before. It's like, get your ass off the ledge of the roof. He made a bad album.
You know why they're so mad too, though, Coop?
Like, what are we doing?
You know why they're so hurt? I won't say mad. They think it's over. And it could be. It happens.
Is that what they think?
I think so.
Well, if they think
I think deep down they think, you know what, it's over. Like, it's a hard thing to come to grips with.
No,
it was hard for me when Stankonia came out, and I had a feeling that, you know what, this might be it.
No, that's not the same, Mike. Stankonia's good.
Stankonia's good, but I felt that it might be it. It was a different group.
How his core? You feeling like the core's feeling like,
It felt like, you know what, that group that I loved so much, I'm never gonna get again.
How about this? It's like when you're saying like, it's over. It's like, I don't think it's Outkast over. It's just like, I don't think he's going to be king again necessarily. You feel me? Like, that doesn't mean that it's over. That's what I mean when I'm saying get off the ledge. It's like, everybody's not king forever.
I think that, over it. You know what hurts even more, though? I think that for him to get such adulation by, let's say the Academy and still get 8 Grammys and all of that, or Grammy nominations, it's going to be viewed like this wasn't a flop, so he's not really learning anything from this. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if he would have got shitted on or whatever, like he should have for this effort, he would come back with a vengeance. But he can't do that now because these people are carrying him like this shit's hot. They're lying to him. You know what I'm saying?
You need to put a Scarlet K on him and he needs to walk around the town and wear it.
Yeah.
And take your ass inside. And go do it again. Like, it's not.
It's like you're losing and people telling you winning.
It is hard. It is hard. Like, all jokes aside, Mike, it's hard being in his position.
Yeah.
And being under the pressure that he's under. It really, really is. It's hard. You know how many men have been in your position before to
Very
rise
few.
to the occasion when they make some subpar material? Because that's what real, like, all-time great MCs and kings do. You feel me?
But the
Because
difference
all
is,
of our great MCs have made an effort where it's like Scarface second album, Nostradamus, Kingdom Come, or in your case, Magna Carta, Holy Grail. Pick one.
there's a few.
You
I
feel
mean,
me?
even
Ice
Electric
Cube, War and
Circus.
Peace, this too? I don't know.
Even though I personally like Electric Circus wasn't it. And he had to come back with B. But see, he didn't get 8 Grammy nominations for Electric Circus either.
You know what?
That's
But this
what
is what I
changes
mean.
things.
But this is what I mean. We kind of put a little Scarlet C on Common when he made Electric Circus. Like,
Yeah.
look at this corny ass nigga. What is he doing?
You need that fall off for that
Take that.
comeback album. A lot of people
Right.
like to act like the Aftermath album never existed, but we needed that album to get 2001. You need that, but you need to hear that silence too, because if you don't hear the silence and people acting like you are on par, how do you come back? You just got 8 Grammy nominations. So that's why I think the next
you wanna know
album's
what?
in trouble.
The Grammys have to understand that in the hip hop community, giving him 8 nominations is making them look bad in this community where we actually like listen to the music properly. Because we listen like, oh, you got 8 Grammy nominations like for this? Like how? Like,
Well,
what
they don't care
did y'all
about
just pull a
looking
name out
bad.
of the hat? Did y'all like put Kendrick name in the hat 10 times and put everybody else name in the hat one time, and then that's how we got, like, you know what I mean? Like, what y'all doing?
They don't care about looking bad. They gave Macklemore album of the year, rap album of the year over Good Kid, Mad City. The person that's going to suffer from this is Kendrick, because now he's going to have to make another album and can't act like this was a flop because it's been so decorated. You know what I mean? He can't. He can't come back and say the things that Common said on B about Electric Circus. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or like Nas said about Nostradamus on Stillmatic. It's like they put him in a position now where, okay, even though you made your worst effort of your career, we'll still hold you up. So moving forward, it's like he can't even act like this was a flop. And then you got people like Charlemagne saying it's the most important hip hop album of all time. Like, how do you sit here? You can't even denigrate this album now.
Well, let's look at it like this. How about this? Here's what I'll tell you, and this is how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't treat this like a flop, like internally, like in terms of like motivationally speaking,
Right.
and treats this like a success and makes another project, I think it is going to be over.
Yeah.
How about that?
I think the next project is very, very pivotal. And the next project definitely can't take 5 years to get here. I think that Kendrick needs to drop next year. And, I think that's my bold 2023 prediction. We saw Eminem do this when Revival had mixed reviews. We never saw Eminem return with another album so quick. And, I mentioned Eminem not even thinking that's the same label. Like, so maybe the people at Interscope and the people at Aftermath will say, you know what? I know you got a lot of, credit from the Academy and from really the industry, let's say, but you got to go out there and do something that the fans are going to gravitate to.
He better not do this again. That's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, go ahead, soak it all in and make another project.
I don't understand. Like, even though where he took it writing wise and how personal it is, and I believe the things he's saying on the album, like I really believe he's going through it and all of that. I don't understand how you follow up from this. Like, where do you go from this? Can't act like everything's all good,
Real talk. You need to go back to Compton, Mike.
It's like one of those Rocky 3 situations.
No, he literally needs to sometimes, Mike, you need to go home and ride around your neighborhood to understand some things. It's like, I'll never forget when I went back to Charlotte one time, I took my daughter to this neighborhood I used to live in called The Hole. It's right up the street from West Charlotte on Southwest Boulevard. And she was just like, y'all lived here? And I was like, it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like, And it's one of those things that touched me, Mike. I was almost in tears when we were driving over the little bridge. That the reason that they call it the hole is just a little bridge, and then it's just this little hood right here, and a little cul-de-sac keyhole, and it's wild. And it's like, no, sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you need to go home and like look at that shit physically
Get
and
re-inspired.
get your ass in go motion. You feel what I'm saying?
No, you're right.
Like you do. And if you're not doing that, like when you reach it to a certain place, and I think about this, Mike, I'm speaking on the level that I'm at. That's why I'm saying he need to go back to Compton. Because it's like even where we are, no, we still need to do that. It's like, oh no, you definitely need to do that, especially after this. So just take your ass home, literally.
Yeah. Kendall Outlaw with the super chat says Fergie could have replaced Lauren on the score. Trying to visualize that would have been tough. I mean, I rock with Fergie, but
I like Fergie,
she ain't got bars like
stop
that.
tripping. She ain't got the voice either. What are you talking about?
You ain't heard that national anthem? Kendall Outlaw with the super chat says Wyclef also helped start Destiny's Child's career with the No 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 remix. Wyclef's remixes were all over the place, man. Listen, for the people out there, I know we're doing the show right now. Go out there and look at Wyclef's production discography for 1997. He was that dude. 97 was the year of Clef, Puff, and Master P. Those were the guys in 97.
But that's what I'm saying. Okay, so listen to what, and this is all I'm submitting to you. Visionary, yes. But when you're talking about 1 year, like he had a year like that. He did not have years like that. He did not have multiple moments like that. It's like, no, he was great. I'm going to tell you what I really love him for, his philanthropy and the way that he's always, he was going back to Haiti and helping out Haiti and talking about the situation like back in his home, in his native homeland from the jump that he, started obtaining his wealth. So I've always been a fan of how he's like really stayed to his roots, not just musically, but like with his actions and behind the scenes. But I think just calling him a genius is a stretch. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Clef is great.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
36 Chambers with the super chat says K-Dot is a generational artist, and it hurts fans to admit that a 5-year wait didn't give them the best project of the past decade like they thought. Yeah, and not only that, I mean, again, I'm sure many of y'all probably went back and listened to Justin Hunt's video after we spoke about it. He already claims in 2022 that this is going to be one of the best albums of its era. We're technically 3 years in the decade. And we've had a lot of really great stuff already. And I don't think this album's top 10 for this year. There's no way in the world you could say it's one of the best albums of this decade or even on pace to do so. We got fucking 7 years left. Like, what are we talking about? It's not even top 10 this year. So, yeah, I think that those type of narratives and putting that out there, and I know people want to hold him up and not really, grasp that reality, but they're really hurting him.
They are. That's what I mean. It's like you're not.
You don't want to give props to this one. No.
You're an enabler right now.
Yeah.
You're supporting this project. You're an enabler. The Grammys are enablers. You can't. We're trying to get him off of this.
Our man says. Our man says. So, Mike, are you predicting Auntie's Diaries Part 2?
Intervention.
It's possible.
We need to do a hip hop intervention. We're gonna have to sit him down.
I think we could get an Auntie's Diaries Part 2. What would that be? Uncle's Diaries, hey. I mean, that was too easy, right? I had to just put that out there. Mad Max with the super chat says, I told everybody To Pimp a Butterfly was his worst, and people excused that, but he knew and came out with the damn, and I think it's the same for Mid-Steppers. I do think that To Pimp a Butterfly was one of those, and maybe I probably sounded like, the industry does with this album when I used to talk about To Pimp a Butterfly. But see, the difference was, I wasn't like I respect K-Dot. I think, Kendrick's really dope, but I wasn't all the way sold on him being his elite status until To Pimp a Butterfly. And when I heard that, I was like, yo, this is a great effort. And I saw where he was going. And I saw that other people around me didn't feel the way that I felt about the album. And I thought, well, maybe I'm listening to this on a technical level as somebody who used to, be an artist and put music together, and I understand that process and understand what all of that entails. And maybe I'm appreciating it from that standpoint. But at the end of the day, like we said on the previous episode, music is made to be listened to. And even if you did all that structural, what's the word I'm looking for? Just putting things together the right way, if it's
Mm-hmm.
not palatable and people aren't taking it in like that, then how great is it anyway? It could be great on a technical level. That was the word I was looking for. And we hear that a lot from a lot of artists. I mean, I think that Logic probably put together technically one of the stronger albums of 2022 from a technical standpoint, but it's not connecting, right?
It's not.
Mad Max in the super chat says Marcus Clay sounds more like classic Dot than Kendrick do right now.
Can I?
Go ahead.
So let me look at it like this. I don't think that Good Kid, Mad City is a classic because of Kendrick's quote unquote elite lyricism. Because I never thought that necessarily lyrically, I never looked at Kendrick the way that I look at Nas or G Rap or Kane or Big or Jay. Like, I don't look at him that way. He was never that to me. He was very Biggie like in the sense, and maybe Big was a good comp, and which is why I thought so highly of him. But he just did a lot of everything really well early on. And I found him to be, he wasn't lyrically inclined as I thought he was lyrically insightful.
Right.
And
That goes a long way.
no, it does go a long way. Now,
No,
that's why.
I want to say this to the people in the chat that are talking about the Logic. I like the Logic album a lot too. I just say it's not connecting. I'm not dissing it. No.
And I like it as well. It's just not what you wake up and normally listen to as a rap connoisseur, unfortunately, I think. Or maybe you do. I mean, we're speaking from the perspective of somebody who like review and audit more. Maybe the underground and coffee shop like DJs and motherfuckers like that are more into it. I could see that vibe. You know?
I think a large part of that, honestly, is not to be too analytical, is voice. And I just think that, and it always goes back to the core and the roots of it, no matter if you sound like Get Off My Lawn or whatever, hip hop or being an MC was created and formulated on having a commanding voice. The person that's able to, pick up the mic and command the attention of the crowd with their voice, not just with what they're saying and how they're saying it, but just the gravity of their voice. And I think that when you don't have a believable voice or commanding voice in rap music, unfortunately, it comes across as corny, even if you are dope from a technical standpoint.
Well, okay, so let's finish up with the Kendrick thing because I'm gonna finish connecting the dots about why I started with Good Kid, Mad City.
No, I'm sorry.
And
I just wanted to, address the
no,
stuff.
I understand. And I want somebody in the chat was like, why are we trash K Dot? I'm not trashing K Dot right now. I'm trying to make a point to you. When I'm saying like Good Kid, Mad City is his best album to me. So when I'm saying he's not super lyrical on there, that's not hurting the album at all. You don't have to be some sort of super lyrical wizard like with words on the mic all the time to make a classic rap album. Like Good Kid, Mad City is not that. Like this is what I mean about what I liked about him. He was very. It's like you knew he was great, but he made the simple stuff work very much like Andre. Me and my niggas trying to get it, you bish. You get what I'm saying?
That shit connects.
It just connects.
Yeah.
He connected on Good Kid, Mad City. Now, what you'll find on To Pimp a Butterfly is that you have a better MC. Like, he is a better writer. He is a better lyricist. The guy that's on Damn, Mike, oh, well, he's frightening and he's the best MC. You feel me?
No,
if you want to say that guy on Damn is the best lyricist around that time, yes. But that was the only time that I felt that way. And that's what makes this follow-up problematic, that it sounds like this, because it's like, I just heard you at your most lyrically inclined self, and then you went to this, because here's the thing. This is more Good Kid, Mad City-like, in the terms that it's like, nah, fam, you need this to connect. And it didn't.
And, even songs like DNA connected, right? And it went
Yes.
with the theme of the album. Humble even connected. You know what I mean? Humble was a huge hit. Um, it's funny, man, because he kind of tricked me, right? Like when I heard Section 80, I heard the conceptual artist.
Right.
And then I felt like when Good Kid, Mad City came out, it was like a step above that from an industry standpoint. It's like, okay, this is what I can do with the budget and with the support of the industry. But I felt like there were moments where, when he made Poetic Justice with Drake, I Need Radio. You know what I mean? Like, it sounded like a mixture between who he is conceptually, but doing things for the industry. So, in some ways, when I heard To Pimp a Butterfly, I felt like, well, damn, he might not have really wanted to make Good Kid, Mad City like that. Maybe that really wasn't him, and this is really him. And then when I heard Damn, I was like, well, and then not only hearing Damn, but hearing the interviews he was doing at the time when he was kind of pushing To Pimp a Butterfly to the back. Like, he was treating To Pimp a Butterfly like it was his Electric Circus when Damn came out. And I was like, well, maybe this is who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, so maybe To Pimp a Butterfly was just an anomaly. It was like maybe he was just trying something, and maybe he's more Good Kid, Mad City and Damn than he is To Pimp a Butterfly. And now it's like, I don't know. I would say this, like you said, I think we both agree on this. Damn was the most dominating he was from end to end with
As an
really no
MC.
help, and as an MC and being able to kind of split the difference of all of his efforts before it. And an MC that continues to make not Damn specifically, but Damn like moments is going to be one of the greatest.
Okay,
And this is a
but
far cry from that.
this is what I mean. Like you, it's so easy for an artist of his stature that's been lauded and propped up, mostly by us, for to kind of look at things through a certain purview. So I want to flash like all the way back, like let's go early Kendrick. I can remember waking up one morning. This when me and my ex-wife were still together. We used to wake up in the morning, and she always want to play like MTV jams and shit. Like how they still show the jams in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That was her thing. So I'm laying in the bed. She's getting ready for work. We're playing the jams. She Needs Me comes on one morning. All right. Now she's using one bathroom, so I got to go out into the hallway and use another bathroom. We hear it coming from the TV. We both come back in our master bedroom. We looking at each other like, who the fuck is this? Because we were both listening to the song in separate bathrooms because she blasted. It's like 50, 60. Me got to get turned up for work. And so we both coming back in the room like, who the fuck is this?
Right.
Like, ooh, because it connected his strength. What I'm trying to say was never that he was this. He's never been some lyrical prodigy like Nas.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Or Rakim. No,
even though he was very lyrical still, but yeah.
Even though he's very lyrically inclined and skilled, it was that he connected. He made both of us run out of our bathrooms and being like, who this little nigga? Ooh.
I remember when I heard ADHD.
Different taste, Mike. You feel me? So the fact that we was both like, what?
I remember when I heard ADHD. And I mean, I loved it in the video. I mean, I just kept playing that over and over. And Rigor Mortis was just impressive from a, spitting standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And again, obviously, we don't want to be like the media is with Nas or whatever, always going back to earlier times. But this is more of a quality conversation than a, not wanting to see an artist grow conversation. Because I think that he let us know immediately, similar to Outkast and Kanye, that this is going to be an artist that's going to continuously give you different shit each album. You know what I mean? Like, we know he's not going to go back and go backwards, per se. He's going to always continue to push himself forward. And I think in many ways, he pushed himself forward on this album. It's just, the quality's just not all the way there. And that's just, and it happens. That's what happens when you experiment. If you look at any of the MCs or artists in hip-hop who have ever been experimental, they have missing moments, and it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
My only issue with this missing moment is it's getting praised like it's a hitting moment. And I don't think
No,
that's good, you know?
and I think we're still missing something very, very important. It's like, no, no, no. We're not about to let this whole 5 year, and this is what you did slide.
Well, yeah, 5 years is an issue too.
The 5 years is still the core
Yeah.
and the still crux of the issue.
Listen, I'm gonna keep it real, guys, and I know that music is very, you know, it's subjective, right? We have our opinion. Coop has his opinion. I have my opinion. But one thing that I think that can be factual is the fact that he didn't release this album right after the Super Bowl lets you know that the label didn't think that they had anything really, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is he never puts the heart on any of his albums. The fact that it wasn't on the original release, and after the feedback came back, it ends up on the release now, it lets you know that this album's not hitting like the other ones. The other ones didn't need any of the hearts on it. I mean, those are just factual things, right? Now, you can go look at the numbers, look at the streaming numbers, and any of this stuff. But the moves that have been made around this album and the music around it or lack thereof lets you know where people really stand with the music. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's not my opinion. That's just what happened. Show me another album where he had to add the heart on there. Show me another Grammy term where the heart had to get nominations. Show me a time when he had to actually shoot a video for the heart.
No, there is a video. I
There's
think
a
the Heart Part Two. The Heart Part
Yeah, I
Two
think
has a
it's the Heart
video.
Part 2. Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah. But I
Heart
mean,
Part Two
even
has a
the
video.
way it was released, though, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was almost
So
a
this is
security
so
blanket.
so this is what I mean. So this is like it's like when your favorite batter starts to lose some of their bat speed.
Yeah.
But you keep running around. It's like when Jeter started losing his bat speed. Everybody's like, that's still the captain. It's like, no, no, he's the captain, but that's not the guy that go hit 315, 320 every year anymore. That guy hitting more like 285, 290. Bat speed's not the same anymore. But because he's so loved, and he's such a figure, people held him up high. But it's like, no, how did the performance look? How did the performance look?
I'm a Tom Brady guy, man. He doesn't look good this year.
He
And
does not look good at
and
all.
it
I'm a
is
Tom
what it
Brady
is. You
guy
got
too. He
to
don't
admit
look
that.
good. I've never seen him miss this much.
Yeah. It hurts
Never.
to see. I don't even be wanting to watch the games.
I'm watching because I keep waiting for Tom Brady to show up. It's like, hold on. I'm like, who that?
You're right.
I'm like, who is that?
Who
Like
dat?
he has about 2 or 3 throws a game where I'm like, Tom Brady?
You
Like,
in there?
did what? Like, did that just? I be feeling like I'm in the Matrix when I'm watching him right now because he's been so epic for so long. To watch him miss 2 or 3 throws a game that are like right there, or to miss or to make the wrong play. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh man. And I'm not being funny when I say this, man. Divorce is so hard and so real and life altering and life changing. It really is.
I hate to do this, but I just think it's very devious that she did this during the season. That was
She's mad.
planned. That's
She
not
been
cool.
big mad.
Yeah.
She been big mad.
So
But she
you're
might
not
have been
gonna
being lied to.
retire? Well, let me ruin your season real quick.
She could have been being lied to too. But I mean, this is what I mean. Like what I'm saying is like, and it's kind of messed up because it's like, and this is what I mean. Like when a divorce is hard, it's like, oh, it usually take 2-3 years. Like Mike, I just started feeling like myself about 6 months ago, and it's been about 2.5, 3 years. You feel me?
Wow.
I just started feeling like myself again, really. Like
That's
the
scary.
Armand that I was before I was married. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And so like that shit takes time, and you playing like high stakes, high level, like intense, gotta watch them do all that all day, and you going through that like emotionally, mentally, psychologically, your kid sleeping somewhere different.
Yeah.
Oh hell. Oh
Yeah.
hell.
Even for the great Tom Brady, that's
Oh motherfucker, when
tough.
the first time that you're used to having your kids on the roof and your kid is not there is the fucking worst night of your life.
Wow. Leroy Green
Yeah.
with the super chat says the Grammys is looking at Kendrick with the Mr. Morale like Lin Manuel Miranda in Hamilton, just without Broadway. That's why. And it's interesting though that you say that, and I agree. And we've had this conversation on previous episodes before. My man Ron Bay, who actually writes plays, shout out to him. He kind of put To Pimp a Butterfly in context for me because I think we had a conversation about like, why do people not feel the way that we feel about To Pimp a Butterfly? And he was like, you have to listen to Kendrick's albums kind of like a play. And when you think about it, all of his albums, from Good Kid, Mad City, all the way up, they could be put on stage. If someone would easily be able to put those albums from beginning to end on stage like a Hamilton. Now, this album specifically just didn't play well as individual tracks like the other ones did. But you could definitely put this one on the stage too. Um, Again, I talk about To Pimp a Butterfly like people are currently in the industry talking about Mr. Morale. And I have to catch myself. Like I think we've said this before that To Pimp a Butterfly is the best album you don't listen to. I feel like you and I've had this conversation.
We literally have about To Pimp a Butterfly. I told Mike, if you'll go back, and people need to go back and look at the review that we did of Kendrick's album, where I said, one of the first things out of my mouth, I will never talk about To Pimp a Butterfly this way ever again after listening to this piece of mid. Never. Like what he did for me on a personal level was elevate To Pimp a Butterfly, because it's like, oh, if you gonna get lost in the sauce and be conceptually thick, do that shit. Not this.
Because this album doesn't have a hood politics. It doesn't have a these walls. It doesn't have a I. It doesn't have a even a King Kunta. But I was gonna say how much a dollar costs. It doesn't have
a
those.
Mortal Man.
Mortal Man.
Blacker the Berry.
I love the Blacker the Berry.
I love the way Blacker the Berry just comes in. It's just so gangster.
It is. I remember when I heard the Blacker the Berry for the first time. It was like I think that was the first song that they put out. It was on like Sirius Radio or something. I was like, yo, he's about to make some of his best material. Like I could feel it. You could feel when things are coming. I didn't feel anything with this 5-year break. I didn't.
And this is what I mean. I ain't never seen this happen. Like, how about this? Because nobody's been in stride like this, and then paused like this, and then put out something like this after the pause. It's very, very different. Do you understand when LL Cool J is doing Mama Said Knock You Out? He's talking about some shit that happened like 16, 17 months ago. When he talking about don't call it a comeback, I've been here. It's like, we know you just made the Dud album about 18 months ago, but we glad that you back with this hard shit 18 months later.
But again,
I need some Mama Said Knock You Out.
He didn't get praised for the Dud, so this is interesting.
Mama Said Knock You Out.
Just You Run with the super chat says, have y'all heard Ransom's new album? It's called Chaos Is My Ladder. Lyrically, it's amazing. Ransom gotta be the top 5 lyricists right now. Ransom's doing a lot of work, man. Between Ransom and Shay Noir, man, they're doing so much work.
You guys just never gonna let me listen to R&B ever again. Can't stand up.
36 Chambers with the super chat says Kendrick has moved beyond hip hop as a medium. He's moving to a different mediums and may end up on stage or film, and sometimes return to music. He may not know it, and fans may not see it, but I'm calling it. What do you mean, like as a playwright? Because it's not like he's a vocalist, not like he's a producer, not like he's an instrumentalist. How can you move away from hip hop if you aren't doing any of those things? I mean, maybe as a playwright.
Okay, see, this is what I mean. Okay, so we need to. There's nothing wrong with people are lauding this album for its artistic and avant-garde nature, and I understand that. I succinctly do. But what I'm trying to express is that in hip hop, there's like what I like. It's a palatable level of something musically that has to be inclined for the listener to want to hear it in its intended format, which is music. If you want to make a play, and I say this with all seriousness, well, you've just proven yourself as a writer, if there was ever a doubt. Go write an actual play. You don't have to do it like in album form, because if you want to be Kendrick Lamar the playwright, then like that's okay. Like do that. But like let's not try to like bypass or bleed the genres and call it great genre bleeding because it's Kendrick. It being Kendrick doesn't make it great. It's
or
actually one of
because
the
it
more
did.
problematic notions of it because this is somebody who we know to be experimental that has been succeeding at a wonderful clip, and he got his wings clipped a little bit.
Or because it succeeded artistically in one medium. Like, yes, okay, as a playwright or as a stage play, this may have been awesome. Like, We Cry Together would probably act out incredibly on stage, but
Yes,
not on disc or,
correct.
stream or whatever you playing. Like, when it comes through the speakers, and nobody riding to that. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
Like, that's what the music is for.
and there's too many yes men, and I'm gonna just tell you the truth. It's like, didn't nobody stop him and grab him and be like, yo, fam, like, nah, like we can't run it just like this the whole way through. We're gonna have to give the people something. Like it can't be this. And this is what I
Well,
mean.
he
No, no,
thought
no.
people were going to just gravitate to it. I mean,
He
that's
no,
what
he really
visionaries do,
thought
though.
no, this is what I mean is that he needs to go back to Compton because he really thought so much of himself, even though he keeps trying to feed this humble role, he thought so much of himself that he thought everybody was going to gravitate to it.
This is another thing I called
No,
in the
fam.
previous years. I think around 2020 when we started doing this show. I was like, man, it's a different game now.
It's
It's a
different
different game now.
outside.
It's not 2017. Now, if he would have came out with this in 2017 and 444 was like his only real comp, maybe shit would have been different. But
And
you're
you
jumping back into a game where it's a lot of people thriving, it's a lot of people being consistent, and it's a lot of people coming out with a lot of material, like, at a fast pace. Like, you got Westside dropping 3 quality albums in 2020 alone. You got Nas dropping 4 albums in 2.5 years. It's a different game. It ain't 2017.
and this and this is what I mean. Like, and we're gonna talk about Alchemist album. We need to get to the music because there's plenty of music to discuss,
Yeah, yeah, we do.
including Hippie Gang, Ab Soul.
Of course.
But and this is what I mean about Kendrick, and I want all the people who are big supporters of Kendrick to think about this. Oh, that he think like that he's too good to like rap on the Alchemist beats that we heard today. You feel me? It gotta be a special kind of Alchemist beat. Like I don't like that. It's like no. Go get busy on some of these tracks
You
because
didn't
that's
think
what
that
the
We Cry
problem is.
Together was an Alchemist track? I
Did
mean,
it
but you
sound
see
like
what he
did it
did.
sound like the records that we heard today on the Alchemist album? Now you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
Mike.
yeah.
It's on
Or,
some rap
or,
shit, ain't it?
or let's keep it a buck. What's stopping him? And I know Schoolboy Q's on that. What's stopping him from jumping on the Alchemist album? Black Thoughts on the song with damn Rock Marciano. Like, are you above everybody else or something? Like, that's what it
Yeah,
comes across as.
that's what I mean. Because Thought will polish him on the mic
I mean, because
any
we
day.
got J. Cole out here on songs like Stick. I mean, I know it's his crew, but he's not acting like, yo, I'm too big to be on a record like this.
No, he's very much.
He in the mix.
No, but it's like he got a crew, and the crew is there with him, and he's with the crew, and this is what I'm saying. Like that Kendrick album, it's like no, and I say this respectfully too, and then we need to move on. Well, I'm tired of hearing these Kendrick albums without Schoolboy Q and Ab Soul
It's been
and J.
happening for a
Rock.
long time.
Right? It's like no, that's what I mean. You need to go back to Compton.
Yeah.
Right, because it keeps on like distancing itself, and it's like it seems like, fam, the more that you distance your stuff, it seems like the more, like the music and you and the view and the skew, and it's just like, no, fam, just go home. It's
Joshua
okay.
with the super chat says, if Kendrick just released tracks 1 through 9 and kept the Savior duos and Count Me Out album of the year, double disc saturated the album. Said, I mean, listen, I know I said it was a weed plate last last episode. Maybe it was 2 weed plates. It's a double album. You know what? And again, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. I had a couple of categories that I kind of took from our previous years of doing it. So I went back on
Mhm.
the website, right, and I pulled up what the categories were for like 2018. And the first category that was in that article was most disappointing album of the year. Now, I don't want to do that this year. because again, it's going to come across as something else. But I was reading what I wrote for the most disappointing album of 2018, and I was so brass, and I should read it. I should read it. It was really bad. Let me read this before we go on to today's topic. So, it's on accordingtohiphop.com, 2018. Most disappointing album of the year. I gave that to Nicki Minaj's Queen. This is what I had to say about it. I said Queen by Nicki Minaj. Queen's album release date was delayed from June 15th to August 10th, and then to August 17th, before ultimately being released a week ahead of schedule, yet still met with lackluster response. Nicki released her two singles that were soon forgotten from the album days after Cardi B released her monstrous chart-topping Invasion of Privacy album, leading many to believe that Nicki made a hater move. Upon debuting second on Billboard 200, Nicki expressed her frustration and criticized several people on Twitter, including Travis Scott, whose album Astro World claimed the top spot for the second week in a row, blocking Queen from the number one spot. Nicki claimed that Travis cheated with his spot by selling merch and exploiting his child by famous star Kylie Jenner. Minaj made several television appearances and live performances in support of the album. She performed during the Saturday Night Live season finale on May 19th, 2018. On June 23rd, 2018, she performed a medley of Chun-Li and Rich Sex at the BET Awards. On August 13th, 2018, she appeared as a guest on The Late Show and freestyled a personalized verse of Barbie Dreams dedicated to Stephen Colbert. On August 20th, 2018, she performed a medley Majesty, Barbie Dreams, Ganja Burn, and Fifi live on Path World Trade Center Station, and in 2018 MTV Music Video Awards as well. She even launched her own radio show on Beats One entitled Queen Radio. Even with all this push, Queen branding, nothing from the album nothing from the album seemed to stick in the minds of hip hop or the pop world. Due to the lackluster ticket sales, her tour with Future was canceled. As a mainstream artist with this much visibility, Nicki also received 0 Grammy nominations. And that's why I listed it as the most disappointing album of 2018. That was too much. I shouldn't have done that. But saying all that to say, maybe that just doesn't need to be a category because that's just disparaging.